Lord, not me looking like a Zao instead of a midnight. What is going on, guys? It is your girl Dags, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome if you are new. Today we are doing another installment of Volume 1 reviews, where I review the first volume of a manga and let you know how I feel about it. Coming in at 188 pages, it is a supernatural shonen brought to us by way of Viz Media. I cannot see. Lord, okay. I know her hair is like this, but I can't see. Anyway, it is brought to us by the same creator as Inuyasha, so the art immediately is very reminiscent of that show as well. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I've never watched it already, but after reading this volume, I definitely am interested for a couple of reasons. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to give you an overview. I'm going to give you the pros of the manga, the cons of the manga, and then we're going to go into spoiler territory, and I'm going to tell you everything that's in this. So let's get started. Glasses are finna go because they don't want to steal my face. Okay, so we are following two different people. First, we are following Nanoka, and she has discovered that she can travel between two different timelines, her present time period and the Taisho period. So she accidentally stumbles into the Taisho era, and she comes across what she thinks is a human and turns out to be this giant praying mantis who attacks her. And in steps in our second character and our title character, Mao, who helps her, protects her, fights the praying mantis, blase blase. We find out that Mao is actually an exorcist and the praying mantis is actually a yokai. From there, things get a little weird. We learn that Mao is on the hunt for a cat demon named Byoki, who has cursed not only him, but has cursed his sword to where anybody that touches his sword that's not him is doomed. So as the story goes along, Nanoka and Mao end up in a situation, and in order to save Mao, Nanoka ends up having to use his sword, and dun dun dun, Nanoka is doomed. So what happens? I can't tell you. You're either going to have to stick around for the rest of the video and find out, or you can pick up the volume, which I would highly recommend you do, and find out what happens next. So before we go into the spoiler territory and I explain what happens from there on, well, we're going to backtrack a little bit. I want to go over some of the pros and cons of this title. So for me, one of the pros are there's a nice mixture of humor and seriousness and action, so it's broken up pretty well, and it doesn't make the story drag at all. There's a lot of mystery. All of the characters so far are very likable, even the ones that you're not supposed to like, I low-key like. As far as the cons are concerned, they're not cons to me per se, but they could be cons to other people. I did find myself having to look up a lot of the terminology, but that's because I'm unfamiliar with it. Just because I am doesn't necessarily mean the next person is, but I don't mind that because I like learning new things, and I did learn a lot about Japanese folklore, so I did enjoy that. The other complaint that I've seen is that it's basically Inuyasha rehashed. I haven't read it, I haven't watched it, so again, to me, that's not a con. And I also don't know how true that is. I legit had this corset on for no reason because you can't see it. I can't breathe. Just, you know, let me just pretend you can see it. I jump. No, that didn't. It's fine. Alright, so moving forward, we're now fixing to get into the spoiler territory. So if you do not want Volume 1 of Mal spoiled, I suggest that you leave now. Thank you for hanging out thus far, and I will catch you in the next episode. If you do not mind and you want to know what goes on in this volume of Mal, then stick around because we are about to get started. So the manga opens up with Nanoka as a young girl. She's laying in the street in this pothole, I guess, or sinkhole, giant sinkhole, and she's covered in blood, and she's about to black out, and just before she blacks out, she sees what we think is a ghost. So then we immediately go to present day, and we see Nanoka in school, and there's these group of kids talking about how this shopping plaza feels like it's haunted, or there's some eerie stuff. What is that in my hair? I said I was gonna fix it and I didn't. Here we are. Anyway, so the shopping plaza is haunted and people are scared to walk that way. They're hearing noises, they're seeing stuff, and they're not with it. So the girls are like, hey, y'all need to be quiet. That's where the accident happened. And another girl's like, accident? What accident? And we find out that that is the site of the car accident that Nanoka was in when she was a child, and she ended up losing both of her parents in the car accident. So what's weird about this car accident is that Nanoka is thrown from the vehicle, even though all of the windows are rolled up, and no one can explain how she got outside the car or even how she survived, because it went in like, you can't go outside, it's raining. My dog's so sad. It's storming and he wants to go out. He can't go outside. So Nanoka's walking home and she can hear noises coming from the shopping plaza. And again, no one wants to walk that way because they know it's haunted. They think it's cursed, but that's the shortest way home. So we going that way and I'm with her. I'm not going to walk around. It'll be all right. So as she walks through the entrance of the shopping plaza, she gets transported into this Taisho era. I hope I'm saying that right, by the way. Taisho era. And she's noticing all of these people, but the thing is that they're translucent. So she's like, am I tripping? Am I seeing things? There was no one here a second ago. All I did was walk through this doorway. What gives? So she also noticed that these people are dressed in old-fashioned clothes, but it hasn't clicked in her head that she's moved to a different time period. We as the reader know, but she hasn't. So she starts freaking out and she's like, I'm gonna just head back the way I came. But as she turns around to leave, a lady is calling for her and it's like, hey, excuse me, can you help me? She asks Nanoka if she is a human, so this gets Nanoka's attention. And as she turns around, she notices that the woman has been, I guess, stabbed or cut in her shoulder. So as she's like, oh snap, what's going on? This woman's head splits clean in two and a praying mantis pops out. So me and Nanoka are like,
run.
So as Nanoka's running through the entrance, or trying to run back to the entrance so she can get back home, in walks Mao and a boy who we learn later on is named Otoya, and they're trying to figure out where they're at. So they don't belong in that area either, so they're a bit confused, but they don't see the chaos that's happening just yet. So Nanoka sees them and notices that they're not translucent and that they are in fact human, and she's like,
help me! Help me! Nigga!
And Mao's like, you good, you don't need my help. I'm alright. Me and Nanoka like, say what? Seriously? You're not gonna help this girl? Okay. So the praying mantis, who has been chasing after her this entire time, takes a slice at her and then for some reason starts to disintegrate. So then the mantis starts freaking out and is like, what's going on? I'm a praying mantis 3 times her size. Why am I disintegrating? And tries to run away. So now Mao wants to come and help and spring into action and finish off this praying mantis. And when he gets done, it shrinks. So Otoya runs up and captures it. Then Otoya goes up to Nanoka and is like, can we keep this? We've been kind of chasing this for a while. And this is where I was first introduced to the word yokai. So we learned that the praying mantis is a yokai, which is basically a spirit. Anyway, Nanoka is not trying to hear that noise and is not thinking about Otoya right now. She's marching up to Mao and is like, yo bro, what the heck? Why didn't you help me? What's really going on? This fool goes, you can't take care of yourself? So she gets ready to go off on him and she's like, you need it. And she notices that her hand is gone. Like, missing. Just gone. Not attached anywhere. I don't know how you lose an arm and don't notice, but it was gone. So Otoya's like, hey, I found your hand. Here you go. Nanoka blacks out. Understandably so. So when she comes back to, I'm not sure if she's at Mao's place or if they're just kind of off to the side in the market still. But her hand is reattached. She's good as new. And Mao immediately jumps into, why didn't you fight back? And Nanoka's like,
halfway. Take a few steps back to go.
You ain't got the answers, man.
Mao goes, didn't you see how it reacted to your blood? You know, it disintegrated. What are you scared of? Are you not an Ayakashi or Ayakashi? This is another one that I had to look up. I'm looking at my notes. According to traditional Kyoto, I'll leave the link in the description. Ayakashi is a yokai. It's a collective term for yokai that are above water. I've also saw that yokai and Ayakashi can be used interchangeably, and they both just mean spirit. I'm not sure. I'm not well versed on this. I did what digging I could, and I kept getting mixed reviews. If you know, please let me know, because I would love to learn the proper terms. Anyway, so Nanoka is not trying to entertain Mao and his line of questioning. She's trying to get back to her house. So she gets up to leave. Mao's like, no, don't go. I want to talk to you. And she's like, I ain't trying to hear that. And she leaves. So as she goes through the entrance of the plaza, she magically pops back into her time like nothing happened. So her friends are like, what in the world is wrong with you? And she's like, what are you talking about? They go, you turned your back, and then you turn back around, and now you're covered in dirt, and you're filthy, and what's going on? So now Nanoka's confused, I'm confused, and we all just confused. You know what I'm never doing again? Wearing this at all. Side note, I was supposed to wear this to BlurCon before the panorama happened, and I think it was a sign from God that I didn't need to go, because this would have drove me crazy. So fast forward to the next day, and Nanoka is running late for school, so she's like, oh snap, got a blast, and she's running, and she's running, and she goes across the street, and she's not paying attention, and she gets hit by a car. So she goes flying, and I do mean flying across the sky, and she lands on the top of a building unscathed, unharmed, no problem. So Nanoka ends up going back to the plaza to see if she can find Mao to get some answers about what's going on and her newfound jumping powers. We also get to see some more of that good yokai action between Mao and yokai. So Nanoka ends up catching up with Mao, and they have a conversation, and she's like, I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm not this I'm going to stumble over this word every time. I am not the Ayakashi that you think I am. And this is when we learn that Mao is actually an exorcist, and his blood is poisonous to Ayakashi, and that's why he is so set on finding out if she is one or not. And we learn that the reason why his blood is poisonous is because of the curse from the demon cat Byoki. So Nanoka goes into this story about the car accident, how her parents died, and now that she's thinking about it, maybe, just maybe, that was a yokai that she saw at the time of her death. Mao is completely uninterested and is like, cool story, gotta bounce, don't care. So Otoya and Mao hop in a car and they head to town. Nanoka is running behind the vehicle on like some A-train type mess.
Smirch Billy. I can't stop.
And they looking at her like, dang girl, you kind of fast. So when they get to town, Nanoka realizes that the townspeople there are not transparent, see-through. So she gets a hold of a newspaper and she realizes that it's 1923, and this is when she finally realized that she's in the wrong time period, and now she's super confused. So we learn that the reason why Mao is coming into town is because he is investigating a series of murders where someone is killing off men and decapitating them. They're only killing off men though, they're not bothering women, and we don't know what they're doing with the heads. So we're following Mao and the gang as this investigation goes and plays out, and even though I know this is the spoiler section, I refuse to spoil this part because it is so good. It is straight fire. So one thing I do have to mention from this scene is that Mao and Nanoka end up getting into a fight, and Mao ends up in a spot where he's not able to get to his sword and he's stuck, and if Nanoka does not do something to save him, he's going to die, or so we think. So what does Nanoka do? She picks up his sword and starts swinging that thing. Now once everyone is safe and away from danger, Mao's like, how are you able to use my sword? What's going on? And she's like, what are you talking about? I just picked it up and started swinging the thing. It's just a sword. And this is where we learn more about the Byoki curse that is upon Mao and his sword. Whoever touches his sword just into a spray of blood and dies. So it's a little weird that our girl over here could pick up the sword and swing it around like it wasn't nothing, and she's still standing here like it's no problem. So they've decided that she also must be cursed by this cat demon. And thus begins the journey of these two characters coming together to find this cat demon to hopefully lift the curse. So, do I recommend this? Absolutely. The action is mwah. The art is mwah. The comedy is, the suspense is just, get it. Check it out. You will absolutely love it. I will 110% be continuing this series. I'm going to have to add this to the keep up with the release list, even though I don't really care for reading manga that is ongoing. I got to. This is phenomenal. This makes me want to pick up Inuyasha, even though I don't know anything about it. I know, don't kill me. I know it's a classic, whatever. But if it's anything like this, like some people says it is, that can tie me over until I get my hands on the next copy. So that is all for today, people. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. What do you think about Mao? Are you going to check it out? Do you think it's too much like Inuyasha? Let me know. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.